In a good old traditions, I'm about a couple of months late to do a review for a product. So this is a Mi Band 8. This is Chinese version because the global version hasn't come out yet. We're still waiting for it, but it's still worth to have a look at this Mi Band. The current price for Chinese version is about 32 US dollars. And what do you get for your money? For 32 US dollars, you get a standard Mi Band with a black silicone bracelet. Okay, that's what it looks like. You have a very useful manual, which is fully in Chinese. And they're also sending you 2 screen protectors, which I would highly recommend just in case, because it's a larger screen and it's a nicer screen to look at, so you don't really want to scratch it straight away. So these might come in useful. First of all, the Mi Band with the strap weighs 27 grams, so it's pretty much weightless on your wrist. That's the way it looks on my wrist as well. So it's not too big, it's not too small. To be honest with you, I was expecting to see a way bigger screen. I thought it was going to be way larger, but it's just a little bit bigger than the previous models. The screen itself is 1.62 inches across. This is an AMOLED matrix, so therefore the colors are nice, bright and vivid, and the blacks are blacks, and all the tones are very nicely controlled. The resolution is 192 pixels by 490 pixels, so the resolution looks nice and sharp. No comments about that. Everything looks fantastic. The screen brightness can go as far as 600 nits, so if you look at the screen itself in bright sunlight, it's not a problem, you'll be able to see. However, the always on display mode is very hard to see in the direct sunlight. As you can see with my softbox, you can't see absolutely anything. You're gonna have to find a very particular angle, or in my case, I just double tap the screen and it wakes up, and then I can see all the information nice and clear. The watch comes with a waterproof rating, which is 5 atmospheres. It doesn't really mean a lot to us, but for a general public, what that basically means that you don't have to take them off if you're going for a swim in a swimming pool, ocean, sea, you're taking a shower, sweating in it, you're washing dishes in it. You don't have to be worried about nothing. Literally, you just take it absolutely anywhere, any dust, any debris, anything. This particular fitness tracker will take it. As with my previous model, which I used to have and I still have it, Mi Band 5, I would not take it off in any conditions whatsoever. So that's quite good. There's a Bluetooth module, which is 5.1. I do have some issues with it because from time to time, it loses connection to your phone, and unfortunately you have to go back into application and reconnect it manually, which I'm not sure whether that's something going to be fixed in the future updates, especially when we're going to get a global update as well. But up until now, I've had a few issues with the Bluetooth connection, and that's sort of bugging me. The battery inside of this fitness tracker is a 190 milliamp battery. From one full charge, you're looking at roughly about, I would say, between 4 to 6 working days of usage when everything absolutely turned on with always on display and things like that. So not as fantastic as it used to be with Mi Band 5, because there you could charge it once and you could leave it for over a week and the battery would still be there, sort of like fully charged. Whereas this is Chinese version, the only language that's available for the rest of the world is English only, okay? So when you get this fitness tracker, first thing you're gonna have to do when you're gonna connect it to your phone, you're gonna have to choose region as China, language as English, and only that way it's gonna work. But it's only the way it is right now. It's going to be up until the global update comes out. Then you're going to have all the languages in the world and everything will be working absolutely fine, even with the Chinese version as well. That's going to be updated later on as well. And the application that these watches uses is called Mi Fitness. A lot of people said that it's crap, but we will be taking a look at it later on today, and personally I don't see any issues with it whatsoever. I think it's a decent application and we'll be taking a look later on. So a couple of things about the actual build quality. First of all, this is like a ceramic material, so this is no longer plastic. I want to demonstrate to you what the actual screen looks like, and for that what we'll do is we'll jump into more, and we're going to find a torch, because the flashlight will show us the exact size of the screen. So you can see there's a thick line, there's a thick bezel that runs around the screen. It's pretty big, because I thought that the screen will be wider, a lot wider and a lot taller, but it is what it is. So it's not covering the full size of the actual watch itself. The fitness tracker uses the same silicone straps as previously, but the only thing I can see is I think you get more holes. So therefore, this one strap can accommodate a lot more wrist sizes. So that's what it looks like on my wrist. It's pretty flat, it's pretty small. You don't feel it on your wrist, it's very light. You don't feel it under your sleeves. It sort of tucks away nicely. And also the way the strap is now connected is slightly different as well, and I will demonstrate to you. It uses something very similar to Apple Watch. So what you have to do is at the back of the actual fitness tracker, you have to press on that button, and that will release the strap for you. So that's what the actual mechanism looks like at the back, and that's what it looks like on the actual fitness tracker. All right, so there are absolutely tons of straps available on AliExpress already, so you can pick yourself something different. If you don't like silicone straps, there are absolutely tons of different options. So what we'll do now is I'll demonstrate to you a couple of things about this watch. First of all, we'll jump into the main menu. The way you wake up the watch is you can choose it. There are two different options. First of all, you can double tap. That's what I've gone for. Or you can slide your finger across from bottom to top, and that wakes up the screen as well. So we'll double tap the screen, it comes on. That's what it looks like, okay? If you scroll from top to bottom, that gives you access to your notifications. So for instance, your social media notifications, your text messages and things like this will be stored here. You can store about 10 at a time. You can't reply to them, and you can read pretty much all the text message, so that's quite useful. If you scroll from left to right, from right to left, it's exactly the same menu. It's almost like a serpentine menu. We'll go from right to left. So first of all, it shows you the previous night's sleep. It's showing you the latest heart rate measurements. So if you tap on, for instance, sleep tracking, you can see what time you went to bed, what time you woke up. And then if you scroll further, you can see a lot of information about your sleep and things like that, which is useful. Same thing goes for your heart rate measurement. You can just jump into it, and there's lots of like fitness activities and useful information for people who care about these things. Then if you scroll further, you can see the weather information. It shows you how good your air quality is, the current temperature, the highest and lowest for today. And then if you scroll down, it'll show you the sunrise and sunset time, humidity, UV strength, and also it will show you the weather for the next 5 or 6 days. So that's quite useful, that's quite good. Mi Band has always been good for that. If you scroll further, you'll jump into your music play activities. This is where you can play, pause, you can skip tracks, and you can also control the volume. You can bring the volume up or down. And finally, you come back to this menu where you can quickly turn on Do Not Disturb mode. You can find your phone if it's connected. And as I mentioned at the beginning, with the Bluetooth 5.1 and with the current update, unfortunately, sometimes the Bluetooth connection just disappears and you have to jump into the application to reconnect it again. So for instance, if I was to press Find Phone now, it wouldn't work because it's not connected to the phone. So that's it's one of the issues that I found with this smartwatch right now. And then if we jump into settings, this is where you can find things like running mode. So running mode, so when you go for running, I don't know if you know about this, but a lot of people are probably aware that this smart fitness tracker now can be worn in different places. So it can be worn on your wrist as usual. There are also attachments where you can put it as a necklace and you can use it as a pebble mode. And pebble mode means there's a special attachment, like a clip attachment, that can be attached to your trainers. For those who are really into your running, this is useful information. This is something you can be using. Band displays is basically your watch faces pre-installed onto the Mi Band 8 directly, okay? And there's about 10 or 11 of them pre-installed. What we'll do is we'll be taking a look at it later on. So you choose one of those watch faces and you just put it on, and from now on you can use it. Also, you can jump into display settings. So for instance, for brightness, two options. You can either set it into auto mode or you can use it in custom mode. I find that in auto mode, it searches for your light conditions for too long. So for instance, if I was in a dark room and the screen was as sort of demist, right? If I then step outside into the sunlight, it will take some time for it to adapt to it. If you use it on a custom, as I do, I just cranked it all the way up to the highest brightness, and I think it works absolutely perfect in all the conditions, and it's probably the best to keep it that way. Auto lock of the screen, you can go to as far as 5 minutes, and then you've got option for raise to wake. So that's when you rotate your wrist to wake up the screen. I don't use it because I use always on display. I think it's better that way. And also screen on time, you can set it for as much as 20 minutes. So the screen will be staying on. And when I'm saying screen will be staying on, it will stay on in this setting. So on this screen, it will stay on like this for 20 minutes. Clearly, that's going to drain your battery very quickly. You've got your Do Not Disturb mode, app notifications, you've got Auto Detect. Auto Detect is for your fitness activities. This is where fitness tracker will try to auto-detect what sort of fitness activity are you doing right now. In my case scenario, a lot of times it doesn't get it right. Also, it cannot detect when I've started doing the physical activity and when I've stopped doing physical activity. A lot of times it lies, and you probably your best bet is probably jumping into physical activity separately and setting off the time when you start doing the physical activity and actually stopping it manually as well. It's probably the best way you can do it. For preferences, this is where you can find wake mode. So as I've mentioned, you can either wake up the screen by double tapping or swiping. So that's something you can use. Press and hold screen. When turned on, press and hold edit to edit band display. So for instance, if you want to change your watch faces by long pressing the screen and then swiping the watch faces, you can activate that, but I've disabled that because I don't really need it, because I changed my watch faces in the application, which I will be showing you later on. Lock screen. After waking the screen, swipe up to unlock, which basically means that option gives you an extra security just in case if you accidentally woke up your watch under your sleeve during the day. It will still require an extra movement to fully deactivate the lock screen kind of thing. So that's useful for those who are busy during the day. Then you can set your PIN number just in case if you want that triple security for your watch as well. The battery status, you got the system status, and also you can read some information about your Mi Band. If you scroll from bottom to top, that takes you into a very quick main menu as well. So for instance, you can read your stats, information about how many steps you've done today, how many calories you've burned. You can see what you've done for the previous week and things like that. That's quite useful. For workouts, I'm just going to scroll through, have a look at what sort of workouts available here. So we've got outdoor running, walking, freestyle, hiking, outdoor cycling, treadmill running, rope jumping. You can take it into a swimming pool because it's waterproof and all those. And for more activities, this is where you can find more fitness activities and things like that, and you can really tailor them to what you're doing right now and things like that. So that's sort of really sports orientated. So you can use this fitness tracker for absolutely any fitness activity that you're going to be doing. So that's not a problem whatsoever. Then if we go further, this is where you've got your activities. This is where your activities will be stored. So for instance, if you went for a run today once, twice or three times, you've done your yoga, whatever, all your physical activities will be stored in there. So you can read information about calories burned, miles traveled, things like that. Running, you got your status, you got your heart rate sensor reading. Mi Band's always been good. This is your heart rate sensor working there. It's not going to work now because it's not fit to a wrist. The only thing I can do right now for you is I can stick my finger underneath the sensor and we'll see how long it takes for it to take a reading. I've never had any issues with any Mi Bands taking readings from Mi Band of a second generation up until now. They all do a good job. And as with I'm sure with a lot of people, what you will be doing is you will be setting these options for a continuous reading throughout the day. You got your vitality reading there. I don't know how it does it. Blood oxygen level, sleep tracking, stress level tracking, weather. You can set your alarms directly from the fitness tracker. Now, in terms of vibration, there are two options. You can either go for standard vibration or you can go for strong vibration. Strong vibration will definitely wake you up without any need for any sounds whatsoever. So vibration is nice and strong. So that's a very good plus. Alipay and WakeSingPay, it can only work on the territory of Chinese Republic basically, but it doesn't work anywhere else in the world. You've got settings and you've got more. So if we jump into more, there in more options, you can find things like, for instance, you can set your events, or you can see any upcoming events. You've got your alerts, no alerts seen now. You've got your breathing exercise, you've got your stopwatch. Stopwatch, you can set it and you can leave the screen. It's not a problem. With a timer, it's a different story. You have to set a timer and you're going to have to stay on the screen for some reason. I don't know why they've done it this way. You can find your phone if you've lost it. You can jump into the world clock, so you can add world clocks from different countries if that's something that's useful for you. You can use Mi Band 8 as a camera remote control. That's quite useful. Sometimes you got your flashlight and you got your focus activities as well. And that's basically it about this fitness tracker. Now, to put it to sleep, you just cover the screen with your finger or your palm, doesn't really matter, and it'll go to sleep. And then if you want to wake your screen up, you've got two options, as I mentioned, either swipe up and it'll wake up, or in my case, it's double tap and it wakes up. The animation is nice and smooth, no complaints about that. Everything works pretty much well on this fitness tracker. The only thing I would say is, because it's a Chinese version right now, you're limited to certain things, and certain watch faces, as I'll probably demonstrate to you now. Down here, you've got Chinese symbols. Okay, so right now, a lot of watch faces, they still will demonstrate Mandarin or Chinese symbols. And weather information. Some watch faces do show the current weather for your locations, but however, some of the watch faces will show weather only for a location somewhere in China. So bearing that in mind. So if you can wait for a global version to come out, please do so. If you can't, obviously it's something you're gonna have to live with the Chinese version. So what we'll do now is I'm gonna show you the actual application, so Mi Fitness application, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna summarize today's video for you. Right, so let's take a look at the application for Mi Band 8, which is called Mi Fitness. So they've changed the application. Let's log into that real quick. On the first page, usual story, you'll see how many calories you burned, how many steps you've done per day, and things like that. So basically, your health data for the past day and week and month. Down here, you'll find your sleep tracking, heart rate tracking, steps, calories burned, how long you've been standing for, how long you've been moving for, blood oxygen, stress levels, weight. And then on the third page, if we jump into the device itself, you can see that Mi Band 8 is connected. It's also showing the current wallpaper on the Mi Band. I don't know whether that's something useful, but it's nice to have. We'll go to watch faces in just a minute. Then we can jump into things like heart rate, we can jump into sleep tracking, blood oxygen, stress levels, and so on and so on and so on. This is where you can set your alarms. Alarms can be also set on the Mi Band itself. We can add some events here. We can jump and add the weather. So for instance, it can be updated locally. You can also choose between Celsius and Fahrenheit and things like that. Then below we got widgets, and that's where you can do it in the Mi Band itself, but you can also do it here. So for instance, you can add or you can delete widgets. If you jump into vibration, this is one of the strongest points of the Mi Bands. From the previous generation to the current generation, the vibration is super strong. So be sure that if you want to use them as alarm clock in the morning, you will be waken up by the vibration alone. And what you can also do is you can create a custom vibration per all of those points there. So for instance, if you want to let's say for instance, if you want to set a different vibration pattern to your alarm clock, you can do it here. So just press add, and then you're going to have to tap your phone in such a way that you want vibration to behave, and it will be recorded and it will be stored. So every single time the alarm will ring, you will feel that particular vibration. Same can be set for notifications, for incoming calls, certain events and things like that. What we'll do now is we'll jump into the watch faces. Okay, I'll show you what's available here. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different from the past. What we'll do is I'll probably show you just the popular watch faces that are available. Because there are lots of different subgroups that you can choose from. So I'll just scroll through, just have a look. There also should be a secondary application available where you can download it in order to download even more watch faces for Mi Band. And there are different programs where you can customize your own watch faces and things like that. Right, I'm not going to show you all the watch faces. I'm just want to mention that there are different groups, different categories that you can choose from, and all those things. There's loads and loads and loads of watch faces available. I'm sure you'll find at least one watch face which you will be happy with. And that's basically sums up this app. I think it's good, it's decent. But as I mentioned in my review, you really want to wait till the global version comes out, because using a Chinese version is a bit of a pain in the back. So the negatives, let's talk about the negatives. The big negative right now, and I think it's going to be there until the next update available, is the Bluetooth connectivity. As I've mentioned with my phone, iPhone 13, it loses connectivity from time to time, which is a bit of a bitch. Now, when it comes to charging your fitness tracker, because you've got updated charging cable, which looks like that, It's fine. It's not a problem. I do like the way it's connecting and all those things. It's magnetic. This time it went on spot on. The other times, for instance, all it takes is just a light touch, and I don't know if you can see it, but the actual platform will be lifting just there, okay? So what can happen, so for instance, if you put your watch on charge and if anything impacts that cable, it just lifts off ever so slightly, and that stops the charging, which can be real pain in the ass, because at times you will come back and your fitness tracker is not charged. The other times what happens as well is you think you've placed it correctly, but in fact it does something like that, where the actual magnetic pin doesn't go all the way down and actually stays on the plastic, and it just doesn't charge as well. So if you're not careful about things like that, you know, your fitness tracker will not charge. So I don't really like this design. I think the previous designs were a lot better than this one. Yeah, but it happens. I would say 20% of the time that's when it's not charging, but the rest of the time it'll charge just fine. And also one thing I forgot to mention, as with an Apple Watch, once you put it on charge, what happens, the screen actually goes into horizontal mode, it goes all green, and it just shows you the current time and date. Okay, so there's something you can use as you know, bedside watch kind of thing. Everyone is doing this these days. But the other negative would be is because it's a Chinese version, weather updates don't come back you know, current to your destination from time, and also there are certain limitations. So for instance, you can only use English language as of now. You won't be able to use anything else. If you're trying to set it to a different language of your preference, what will happen is the watch will go into default Chinese language, and then you're going to be stuffed. So you can only use it in English. So your phone, your entire phone, for the use of this fitness tracker has to be in English. There's no other way. So if you come from any other country, then you know that doesn't speak English language, unfortunately, your phone will have to be in English in order for you to use this fitness tracker. Otherwise, you just stuff. So wait up until the global version comes out and then purchase them. Otherwise, it's a good fitness tracker. The battery life is fantastic. The screen resolution, the screen brightness, and all those things is fantastic. The one thing I always adored about Mi Fitness trackers is that I can take it absolutely anywhere in the world, into the sea, into the ocean. I can drop it, I can scratch it, I can do whatever, and it will withstand absolutely any abuse whatsoever, and it will keep on working for years to come. So this is a real working horse in that sort of class, and for the money, you can't go wrong. I do like the way they've implemented the new straps. I think the locking mechanism is fantastic. The fitness tracker as it is stands really nice. The sensors are good. The materials used for fitness tracker are nice as well. I think this is like a ceramic material, so it's not plastic. That's quite gives it a nice and premium feel to it as well. The vibration is really good. The way the notifications come through and all those things, everything works fantastic. It's just those nitpicking at the beginning that you know, will be eliminated. A lot of it will be eliminated with a global update. Once that comes through, this is going to be a fantastic fitness tracker to purchase. But up until then, I would advise to hold on, wait till global version comes out, and then purchase them. Then you're going to be happy, and then everything is going to be fantastic. So this wraps up today's review. If I have missed anything, don't hesitate, comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions as soon as I possibly can. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.